Hi there. Today we do some problems from the chapter Motion in One Dimension. This is the first problem. A person drove his car eastwards for 30 minutes at a 50 km/h speed and turned at the right angles to south and drove for another 15 minutes at a 60 km/h. The magnitudes of his average velocity and average speed are. Simple problem. So northeast to south his journey, first towards east with for 30 minutes at a 50 km/h speed, then turning to south 15 minutes 60 km/h speed. Okay. So first we will see the total distance traveled by the person. Distance traveled to east, speed into time, 50 into 0.5, 25 km. 0.5 is 30 minutes. Then distance traveled to south, again speed into time, 60 km/h into 1/4 hour, 15 minutes, 0.25 hour is 15 km. So the total distance traveled is 25 plus 15. Total distance. And the total time, 0.5 plus 0.25 hour means 0.75 hour. So total distance by total time gives you 40 by 0.75, 53.33 km/h. Now we have to determine the displacement. Here the turning being at right angles, we can apply the Pythagoras principle to get the displacement of the journey. Displacement 25 squared plus 15 squared. 25 km. This is 25 km and this is 15 km. So 25 squared plus 15 squared under root gives you 29.15 km. Okay, but the time is same for both finding the speed as well as the velocity. So average velocity, total distance, displacement by total time, 29.15 km by the same time 0.75 hour gives you 38.87 km. Evidently, average speed has a greater magnitude than average velocity since the journey is not in the same direction or not completely linear. Okay, that's a simple one. Okay. Okay, our next problem. A person drives in a ring road of radius 500 meter and subtends an angle 240 degree at the center where he stopped. The ratio of magnitudes of speed to velocity. Okay, a ring road. And he covers an angle 240 degree at the center. Okay. Then this is the path length and this will be the displacement. Okay. So first we have to find the path length. Path length is going to be now 360 degree covers 2 pi r, whereas 240 degree. that is 2/3 of the 360. 2 pi r into 240 by 360 is equal to 2 into 3.14 into 0.5, 500 meter, 0.5 into 2 by 3, 2.1 kilometer. That is the path length. Okay. Now, displacement. Look into this triangle. The total angle here is 120. So, half the angle is 60 degree. So, sine 60 is this x divided by 0.5. Opposite side by hypotenuse x by 0.5. Or x is equal to sine 60 into 0.5. But total displacement is 2x. So displacement is equal to 2x is equal to 2 into sine 60 into 0.5. 2 into 0.5 is 1. So sine 60 0.866. And now we want the ratio of the speed and magnitude of velocity. Okay, we are not bothered about the direction. So speed by magnitude of velocity is nothing but path length by displacement, because time is the same. Path length by displacement is equal to 2.1 kilometer divided by 0.866. 2.1 by 0.87 gives you 2.4. Okay, hope you understood that also. The next problem. A car runs 20 km with a speed of 50 km per hour. The next 30 km with a 60 km per hour. And finally changed to a new speed for last 10 km. The average speed is 52.17 km per hour. What was the speed in the last pace? 40, 10, 18 and 24 km per hour. Okay. We know the average speed is nothing but the total distance by total time. What is the total distance traveled here? S1 in the first phase, then S2, S3. Divided by S1 total time, distance by speed is the time. So S1 by V1 plus S2 by V2 plus S3 by V3. The distances are given as 20 km, 30 km and 10 km. And the corresponding speed, S1 by V1 20 by 50 km per hour, then 30 by 60 km per hour, and 10, last 10 by unknown x km per hour. Okay. Now we take LCM. Here I took the 3000x. 3000x is the common denominator, in which 50 goes 60 times, 60x times, 60 into 20, 1200x. Again 3000x, 60 goes 50x times. So 50x into 30, 1500x. And in 3000x, x goes 3000 times. So into 10, 30,000. Okay. Now take this 30,000 to the 30,000x to the 3000x to the numerator. So that become 3000 into 60, 1,80,000x divided by 2,700x plus 30,000. Okay. Now we simply cross multiply this term with the 52.17 and this term again with that term. So you get this and this term is equal to 1,80,000. Take the x terms to the same side and divide with the 15 and divide 1565,100 with the this difference. So simply isolate x, that's all. Then you get a 39.98 kilometer per hour. So the last phase speed is 40 kilometer per hour. Simple. Okay. Hi, the next question. Four spheres A, B, C and D are placed at the corners of a sphere, a square, whose all sides are 1 meter. Okay. Now, all these spheres start moving with the same speed of 0.1 meter per second in such a way that A always aim B, B always aim C, C always aim D and D always aims A. Then at what time, within what time all these spheres would meet at the center of the square? That's the question. See, when all are aiming at the neighboring sphere and move, what really happens is that they move like this until they meet at the center. It is difficult to show, but something like that happens until they meet at the center. See, the path of each sphere is parabolic. But if we consider this as velocity, the displacement is linear, like this. Okay. Now, during their meeting, the distance covered by each sphere is half of the diagonal of the square. That is, root 2a is the diagonal and its half means root 2a by 2, that is a by root 2. Okay. Now, we also have to think about the component of the velocity along the diagonal. This is 0.1 meter per second. So, its component along this line will be, if this is represented as V, V cos 45. The component along the diagonal is V cos 45. So, now we know the distance to be covered and also the velocity. So, distance by velocity would give you the time before they meet at the center. See, the displacement of each sphere, diagonal length by 2, that is root 2a by 2, is equal to a by root 2 meter. A is given to be 1 meter, so 1 by root 2 meter. Now, time taken for the completion of the journey, distance by V cos 45. Okay, 1 by root 2, that is this 1 by root 2. V cos 45. V is 0.1 meter per second and cos 45 1 by root 2. Root 2 cancels with the root 2. So 1 by 0.1 second is equal to 10 seconds. So even though at the beginning one may feel the question is a complicated one, actually it is not that complicated. Okay. Now we have a very similar problem based on a triangle. Look here. Here the bodies A, B, C are placed at the corners of a equilateral triangle. As in the previous case, I am not reading the question, instead explaining. A is moving towards B, B is moving towards C, and C is moving towards A all the time, and started at the same time too. And their velocities are V. Here in the previous problem we used definite values, here we use the symbols only. Now the same question, at what time they would all meet? Here it didn't mention where to meet. See, the same thing happened here also. They move in such a way that they meet at the centroid of the equilateral triangle. Centroid. Okay. This is the centroid. Okay. So, here again, we have the same approach. The distance to be covered is this. We will calculate that later. And this velocity has a component along this direction. Then we can get the time by dividing distance with the velocity component. Okay. Okay. Here displacement of each sphere is equal to distance between the vertex and the centroid of the triangle. Okay. How to get this distance? That's important. For that, we imagine this triangle OAX. OAX. See, the total angle is 60, so this angle will be 30. Even though in the diagram it may not appear like 30, but it is equally divided between these two. So it is 30. So what is cos 30? Cos 30 is adjacent side by hypotenuse, and hypotenuse is the required distance. Adjacent side is what? A by 2. So cos 30 from the triangle OAX. I have drawn that OAX. Cos 30 is root 3 by 2 is equal to, this is A by 2. Adjacent side is A by 2 by hypotenuse AO. Therefore AO is equal to A by 2 into 2 by root 3. So A by root 3. So the distance from the corner to the centroid is A by root 3. Actually you can make that by heart. If at all such a problem comes, you can directly use it. Now time. Displacement by the vector component. Displacement is AO, which is A by root 3, and the vector component. This is V. So V cos 30 will be the component. So A by root 3 into V cos 30. So A by root 3, V into cos 30 root 3 by 2. So another root 3 in the denominator and a 2 comes to the numerator. So root 3 into root 3, 3. So 2A by 3V. That will be the answer here. Hope you understood that. Okay. Our next problem. It is a long narration. A long conveyor belt is in a mall is moving at a speed of 0.5 meter per second. Two parents are on the belt, father 50 meter in front. Their two kids start running from mother to father. Daughter on the belt, whereas son jumped out of the belt and ran in parallel. At the same time, father walked back in the direction of mother. Both children reached dad at the same time. If father's speed is 2 meters per second, that of son's. I will explain with respect to diagram. Mother, father, belt, 50 meter apart. Belt is moving in this direction with a speed of 0.5 meter per second. At the same time, dad start walking backward on the belt at a speed of 0.25 meter per second. Girl standing on the belt started running towards the father. Boy jumped out of the belt and started running towards father. Both reached dad's premise at the same time. Okay, if girl's speed is 2 meters per second, what is the speed of the boy? That's the question. Okay. The first thing we have to visualize is that mom, girl and dad all are on the belt. Okay. But boy alone is out of the belt. Okay. First we will see the effective speed of daughter. She is running at a speed of 2 meters per second. But dad is walking towards her at a speed of 0.25 meter per second. So that her effective speed is 2 plus 0.25, 2.25 meter per second. Okay. The distance to be covered then remains to be 50. Since dad's speed has been added to daughter's speed, distance remains the constant. It is 50 meter per second. So time for her to meet dad, distance by speed, 50 by 2.25 second. Okay, let it be there. Now, for boy, effective speed of the belt. See, dad is walking backwards at a speed of 0.25. Speed of belt is 0.5 in the opposite direction. So, belt is making his effort more. Dad's walking is making his effort less. Okay. So, the effective speed of the belt is 0.5 minus 0.25 meter per second is equal to 0.25 meter per second. Okay. Now, suppose the boy's required running speed is x meter per second. X meter per second. His required speed of running x meter per second. Then his effective speed, that x minus this 0.25. Okay. That x minus 0.25 because effectively the belt is moving ahead with a speed of 0.25. Okay. So that has to be subtracted from here. So now again use the equation distance by speed is equal to time. What is distance to be covered? Still it remains to be 50. What is the required effective speed? X minus 0.25. Time, same as that of the girl, 50 by 2.25. See, the numerators are the same. Magnitude wise they are the same. So denominators are numerically the same. X minus 0.25 is equal to 2.25 or x is equal to 2.5 meter per second. So the required speed of the girl as given is 2 meter per second and required speed of the boy, which is definitely will be greater than that of the girl since he is moving out of the belt, is 2.5 meter per second. Hope you understood that. Our next question. Two cars A and B are 100 meter and 200 meter away from the origin. They start moving ahead at the same time with a speed of 10 meter per second and 5 meter per second respectively. At what distance from origin A crosses B? See, for the sake of fun, I will show what is really happening here. It is something like this. Two vehicles are moving ahead, starting from this is the origin, and A is faster than B. So, along with the progress, A can overtake B. That's a simple thing. Now, more explanation. O, the origin, A, 100 meter away, would move at a speed 10 meter per second. B, 200 meter away, would move at 5 meter per second. They start moving ahead at the same time, and we know along with the progress of the journey, A comes closer to B until at one point A overtakes B, and the question is from the origin what is the distance at the time of overtaking. That's all, simple. Here the bodies are point bodies, so length of the vehicle to overtake is not to be considered. Okay. Time of running till overtake. We know they meet at the same time here. So time of running till overtake, TA is equal to TB is equal to T. Then, see at the time of overtaking, distance covered by A is this much, distance covered by B is this much. Okay. Then, distance covered by A is 100 plus distance covered by B. Okay. Now, what is distance covered by A? Speed into time is equal to 100 plus B is speed into its time. But both times are the same. So, 10t is equal to 100 plus 5t. Therefore 5t, taking t terms to the same side, 5t is equal to 100 or t is equal to 20 seconds. So, the whole event happens within 20 seconds. So, what is the distance covered by A now? A alone. Vt, distance covered by A, Vt. 10 is the meter per second speed and 20 is the time second. So 200 meter is covered by A until it overtakes. But that is 100 meter, A is 100 meter away from the origin. So you have to add that to get the total distance of journey. Distance from origin, 200 plus 100, 300 meter is the distance of the event of overtaking from the origin. That's it. Hope you understood that. Okay. The next problem. A car makes a trip of 110 meter. 50% of the total time of journey, it runs at 60 kilometer per hour. 50% of the remaining distance was covered at 50 kilometer per hour, and remaining 50% of the journey at 75 kilometer per hour. Average speed was 60 kilometer per hour. What is the time taken for the last phase of the journey? Okay. See, what is the total time taken here? Total time taken is equal to total distance divided by average speed. What is total distance? 110 kilometer. Average speed is given to be 60. So, 110 kilometer by 60, 11 by 6 hour. Now we can calculate distance traveled in the first phase. Distance traveled in the first phase is equal to velocity of that phase into time. Velocity is 60 kilometer and the time half of this time. So 60 into 11 by 6 into 2. 55 kilometer. Now how much kilometer is remaining? Remaining distance 110 minus 55, 55, another 55 kilometer. Now the remaining distance have been divided into two. First half is covered at a speed of 50 kilometer per hour and the second half is covered at a speed of 75 kilometer. So distance covered in the last phase will be 55 by 2. So time involved in the last phase, easy. Distance by speed. Distance is 55 by 2. Speed is 75 kilometer per hour. You get a value 0.37 hour. Okay. Next problem. A train completely crosses a bridge of length 900 meter at a speed of 40 km per hour in 2.55 minutes. What is the length of the train? A commonplace question, simple question. Okay, let's illustrate the thing. This is the train and its length has to be determined. Let it be x kilometer. The bridge's length is 900 meter or 0.9 kilometer. What is meant by completely leaving? See, this is just entering. And this is the state when it is completely left. So actually, what is the total distance to be covered? This x plus 0.9. X kilometer plus 0.9 has to be covered. Then only from the point of entering to the point of completely leaving, it must be covering this much length of the train plus length of the bridge. That's the only point to be taken care of. So total distance by time is equal to speed. Total distance to be covered is x plus 0.9. Okay. Time is 2.55 minutes by 60 hours is equal to 40. So x plus 0.9 is equal to 40 into 2.55 by 60 is equal to 1.7. Or x is equal to 1.7 minus 0.9, 0.8 kilometer, or out of the given answers, 800 meter comes out to be the correct answer. Okay. Another graphical question. Different plots are shown, which are all can be correct. That's the question. This one, path length versus time. We know path length is a scalar. It can remain, it can increase, it can remain a constant, but in a process it cannot be negative. It cannot decrease. Okay. See, in this diagram, path length is increasing, and with the time it remains constant. Then it is again increasing. So nothing wrong about this image. No, again path length. First it is increasing with the time, then it is decreasing. That cannot happen. Even the body traces back the initial path. Path length just get added up. It never decreases, and so this plot is wrong. Displacement. Displacement is vectorial, and when the direction changes, even when treading the same path, it can be decreasing and can be negative. So displacement first increasing, then tracing the path back, so decreasing, then again tracing ahead, increasing. So this is correct. Speed versus time. The problem with this plot, you all know, that is at the same time it is having more than one speed, which is impossible. So this is wrong. Here velocity being a vector, decreasing, increasing, decreasing, increasing, no problem. It's correct. Speed. Speed can decrease, but speed cannot go to the negative side. Okay. So, since it has entered the negative speed side, it is wrong. So that's it. Next problem. Two cars A and B moving on the same straight road at speeds of 50 km per hour and 75 km per hour, B being behind A. A third car moving in opposite direction crosses A when distance between A and B is 800 meter apart. 800 meter. C took 24 seconds to cross both A and B. What is the speed of C? See here, on this road, A is moving with a 50 km per hour in that direction, and B is following it at a 75 km per hour. And once C moving in the opposite direction just comes in line with the A, these two vehicles were separated by 800 meters. Then the question is, what is the speed of this vehicle, C, if it took 24 seconds to cross both these vehicles? This is the question. Here, we have to understand one thing. We start our study from this point. At this point, whatever be the speed of A, it is immaterial. Only the speed of B, the distance and this time affects the calculation. We think about only these two cars. What is the distance covered? Distance to be covered, 800 meter or 0.8 kilometer. What is the effective speed if C is if B is considered to be static and the speed of C is x kilometer per hour, which has to be determined 75 plus x, since they are traveling in opposite directions. So to cover 0.8 kilometer, 800 meter or 0.8 kilometer at speed 75 plus x kilometer per hour, time taken is given 24 seconds. So now it becomes simple. Speed of C 75 plus x kilometer per hour. Okay. I have written here speed of car A is not required. Compared to B, effective speed of C 75. Effective speed of C is 75 plus x kilometer per hour. Distance to be covered 800 meter. Now time taken is equal to distance by speed. Distance is 0.8 kilometer. Speed is 75 plus x. That has to be given to be 24 seconds, not 27, 24 seconds. 24 seconds. Converting to hour, 24 by 3600. Cross multiply. 24 into 75 plus x is equal to 0.8 into 3600. Is equal to 2880. So 75 plus x is equal to 2880 by 24. 120. Therefore, so x, the speed of the vehicle C, car C, 120 minus 75, 45 kilometer per hour. That will be our answer. Okay. Next problem. Two fast trains of length 300 meter and 500 meter are running parallel to each other on two adjacent tracks. When they run in the same direction, the smaller one overtook the longer one in 45 seconds, while running in opposite direction, crossing took 10 seconds. Find the speeds of the train. They are running in parallel tracks. When running in the same direction, the smaller one took 45 seconds to completely cross the other train, completely overtake the other train. When they were running in opposite direction, it took only 10 seconds. In that case, you have to find the speeds of both the trains. Okay. Let's imagine the speeds of the trains to be x kilometer per hour. Let the smaller one be running at the speed x kilometer per hour, and let the larger one, the longer one, to be running at y kilometer per hour. As per this problem, x is greater than y. Okay. Distance to be crossed or overtaken. Distance to be crossed or overtaken is the sum of the lengths of the two trains. 300 plus 500, 800 meter is equal to 0.8 kilometer. For overtaking, speed of smaller train. In the case of overtaking, it is the difference, x minus y. And for crossing, speed of the train is x plus y. Okay. Time of overtaking, what is that? Distance by speed. Time of overtaking, distance by speed. Time of overtaking is 45 seconds. It is given in the question. By 3600 is equal to distance 0.8 kilometer by speed x minus y kilometer per hour. And the time of crossing is 10 seconds given. 10 by 3600 hour is equal to 0.8 by x plus y. Now we have to simply solve these two equations. X minus y, after cross multiplication, x minus y, you get 0.8 into 3600 by 45, 64. And x plus y, you get 0.8 into the same 3600 by 10, you get respectively 64 and 288. If you add these two, you get 2x. 2x is equal to addition of this gives you 352. X is 76 km per hour. And after subtraction, you get y is equal to 112 km per hour. These are the speeds of the two trains. They are fast trains. That's why such a huge value. Okay. Next question. Two steam engine trains are running parallel to each other in opposite direction at the same speed. Two steam engines are running in parallel tracks in opposite directions. Wind is blowing in the direction of one of the train. Naturally, wind is blowing opposite to the direction of the other train. Then, it has been observed that the smoke track generated by one of the engine is twice in length as the smoke track generated by the other train. Okay. Then, what is the ratio of speeds of the train and the wind? That's the question. Okay. See, this is the situation. One train is running in this direction. The other train is running in the opposite direction. Suppose the wind is blowing in this direction. Okay, suppose the wind is blowing in this direction. So, while the train runs in this direction, smoke is generated backwards. But the wind is blowing in the direction same as that of the train, and so opposite to the direction of generation of the smoke track. So it will compress the smoke track. Okay. Again, the other train. Train is running like this, wind is blowing like this. Smoke track is generated like this. So what happens? Smoke track and wind are in the same direction, so the wind will elongate the smoke track. Keep that in mind. In one case it is compressed, in the other case it is elongated. If there were no wind at all, the rate of smoke track generation and the speed of train will be the same. The rate at which smoke track is elongated will be the same as the speed of the train. Okay. Now, I have written those things as sentences. If no wind blows, speed of smoke track generation is the speed of the train. Okay, if no wind is there. If train moves in the same direction as wind compresses the smoke track. I have explained. When train moves opposite to the wind, smoke track gets elongated. Okay, this is the basic ideas here. Now we can say that length of the elongated smoke track by length of the compressed smoke track, that ratio will be speed of train plus speed of wind will be the length of the, will be proportional to the length of the elongated smoke track. speed of the train plus speed of the wind will be proportional to the length of the elongated smoke track, and speed of the train minus the speed of the wind will be the length of the compressed smoke track. If you think, you will get that picture. Okay, so steps are minimum, but logic is more. Length of the elongated smoke track by length of the compressed smoke track is equal to T train plus, V, I wrongly written the letter V. V train plus V window divided by V train minus V window. Okay, but that has been given in the question. Smoke track generated in the one case to the other is in the ratio 2:1. So what we get? 2 Vt minus, you cross multiply. 2 Vt minus 2 Vw is equal to Vt plus Vw. Vt plus Vw. Okay. Rearrange. Vt is equal to 3 Vw. Vt is equal to 3 Vw, or Vt by Vw is equal to 3 by 1. That is, speed of the train is thrice the speed of the wind. Slowly think, the picture will come to your mind. Okay. The next problem. Two particles are traveling with the same speed, maintaining equal distance of 10 meters between them. Their velocities are, however, opposite in direction. After traveling what distance, they will come to their initial positions. Okay. See, if you carefully read the question, you will realize that what mentioned in that question can happen only when the two particles are moving along the circumference of a circle, keeping diametrical distance between them. Then only it can happen. If they move like this, the distance between them will always remain 10 meters. Whatever be the diameter, diametrical distance will be maintained. Not only that, the velocity which are tangential will always be in opposite direction. So, the question is, within what time the particle will come to its initial position. Three values are given, and in addition, this will never happen also is given. But we know, if it complete one circle, it will come back to its initial position. So, the distance to be traveled is 2 pi r. This is pi into d, 3.14 into 10, 31.4 meter. Of course, similar appearance, if only the similar appearance to have to be repeated, since the two particles are exactly identical, only what is needed is similar appearance to be repeated. That can happen for pi r, means for half of this distance. But if the same particle has to reach its own original position, 2 pi r has to be traveled. Okay, so the answer will be 31.4 meter. Okay. Next question. A culprit in bike is driving at a speed of 80 km per hour is chased by a jeep of police at 100 km per hour. If jeep started 800 meter lagged, within how much distance they can catch the culprit? Okay. See, initially the distance between the two is 0.8 km. This is 0.8 km. Jeep speed 100 km per hour. This is 80 km per hour. They chase and eventually they meet at this point. So caught here. Then the question, what is the total distance covered by the jeep? That's the question. Okay. See here, time of journey of the culprit and the time of journey of the police are equal. T culprit, T police is equal to T culprit is equal to T. Now, we shall equate the distances travelled. See, distance travelled by the police is velocity of police jeep into time. Vp into Tp is equal to velocity of the culprit into the time of journey of the culprit plus 0.8 because he is ahead. To equate, you have to add 0.8. Okay, 0.8. But Tc and Tp are the same. So, Vp 100 km per hour, 100 into T is equal to 0.8 plus 80 into T. So, taking 80 to this side, 20 T is equal to 0.8. T is equal to 0.8 by 20, 0.0 hour. So, that's the time of the journey for both the culprit and the policeman. Policeman is lagging behind, not in time, but in distance. Okay. So, distance travelled by the police for catching the culprit, again Vp into Tp. Velocity 100, 0.04. So, 4 km. Within 4 km, they can catch the culprit. Okay. Hi. This is our last problem. The speed of a motorboat is in still water is 7 meters per second. The speed of the stream is 3 meters per second. When the boat started upstream journey, a plastic box fell into the river and flown with the river. After going upstream for 4.2 kilometers, they traveled down the stream and caught the floating box. What is the total time involved? I will illustrate the question. A boat, its speed in still water is 7 meters per second. It is going upstream in a river whose speed is in the opposite direction 3 meters per second. 3 meters per second. While they started an upstream journey, a plastic box fell from the boat unawares into the river. Once it fell into the river, it started moving along with the river with the same speed. Okay. They traveled 4.2 kilometers against the direction of the flow of the river. Once they reached there, they started coming back. By the time this box might have gone ahead along with the river, but they managed to come and catch this box finally. And we have to calculate the total time involved in the whole process. We can divide the things into three. First thing, they have given this distance. We know the speed of the boat, so we can determine the time involved in this process. We want the total time. At the same time, this is flown to some distance. We can calculate that distance in the second stage. So now we know the total distance in the last phase. The boat is here, the box accessory is somewhere here. We know the total distance. We know the speed of the boat in the backward journey, and we can calculate the total time. That's the three things we have to do here. So, first stage, upstream journey time, distance by speed. What is the distance? 4,200 meter. Speed, it is against the flow direction. So, 7 minus 3 meter per second gives you 1050 seconds to reach here. But in the meantime, the the box has flown along with the river. 4. So, in the second phase, we see distance covered by the box within this time is equal to velocity into time. 3 river speed 3. 3 into time is the same this time. 3 into 1050. 3150 meter it has flown. Now the last stage. The boat is here. It has to catch the box here. Okay. The speed of the boat is its original speed is 7 meter per second. If it is moving in the direction of the river, we can say its speed now becomes 7 plus 3, 10 meter per second. But that cancels with the 3 meter per second of this box. Boat as well as the box get additional 3 meter per second, isn't it? So we can totally ignore that factor. We can imagine this box is still and boat's speed is 7 meter per second. We don't have to add 3. If you add 3 here, you have to consider this 3 also. So we ignore both these 3. So in the final phase, we can simplify the picture. Now boat and box are moving in the same direction. Total distance to be covered is 4,200 plus 3,150, 7,350. So effective speed of boat. Effective speed, effective time of journey. Effective time of journey. Effective time of journey is equal to that total distance divided by 7 meter per second. It is the speed. We didn't add 3 because that cancels with the 3 meter per second speed of the box. Okay, you get 1050 seconds. But that is not the final answer. Therefore, time total is equal to upstream time plus downstream time, isn't it? Upstream time is 1050 plus downstream is also 1050. So 0, 5 plus 5, 0, 1, 2100 second. The final result is 2100 second. Okay.